The Tesla screen lit up the second I killed the engine. Another Century event. I sighed, already picturing some drunk asshole in Beverly Hills leaning on the fender. I poked it later, without really looking. I had bigger problems than a scratch on Dad's precious Model S. "You're ignoring that?" Julian asked from the passenger seat. His voice had that half smile I was starting to hate how much I liked. "It's fine," I said. "Probably just a curb rash alert. My father babies this car more than he ever babied me." Julian laughed, but it was tight. We'd spent the last 4 hours at the Thompson merger dinner, and the air between us had been doing that thing again, that crackling, dangerous thing we both kept pretending wasn't happening. "You were brutal in there tonight," he said, undoing his seatbelt. "Thompson looked like he was in a cry when you walked him through the Q3 projections. He should cry. He's paying us $2 million in retainer fees to not let him look stupid." I finally turned to look at him. The interior light caught the stubble on his jaw. "You weren't so bad yourself. That line about the SEC filing, that was sharp. I had a good teacher. Don't get sentimental. Reyes, it doesn't suit you." But I didn't look away, and neither did he. Outside, the valet stand was quiet. The peninsula's back entrance was mostly used by people like me, people who needed to be seen, but not too seen. Julian reached for the door handle, then stopped. "Claire, yeah, you keep looking at me like that, and I'm going to stop pretending this is strictly professional." There it was, out in the open. No more dancing around it in conference rooms or holding it back during late-night Slack threads. I should have laughed it off. Should have said, "Good night, Julian," and gone upstairs to my suite alone like I always did. Instead, I heard myself say, "Pretending? You've been blurring that line since New York." Then stop me. I didn't. The kiss started slow, controlled, the way I do everything. But it didn't stay that way. His hand slid behind my neck, fingers tangling in my hair, and I felt the carefully constructed version of myself. Partner at Bennett Strauss, daughter of Richard Bennett, future name partner, start to splinter. I kissed him harder, like I could make the cracks permanent, like I wanted to. When we broke apart, we were both breathing fast. Julian rested his forehead against mine. "Your dad's car?" He murmured. "Bold move. He'll never check." I said automatically. "He barely drives it. It's a status symbol, not a vehicle." Famous last words. "Bennett." I shoved him lightly, grinning despite myself. "Get out before I regret this." Too late. He kissed me once more, quick and biting, then slid out of the car. I watched him cross the pavement, hands in his pockets, not looking back. I pulled the door shut and leaned against the headrest. The Tesla's cabin smelled like leather and Julian's cologne, something cedar-heavy and expensive. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. "Call me tomorrow. Your father wants to discuss the Thompson account." Typical. Even my personal life had to circle back to work. I tossed the phone onto the center console and closed my eyes. That's when I noticed it. The Tesla screen hadn't gone dark. A thumbnail in the corner showed a timestamp from 7 minutes ago. Sentry mode. Event saved. I tapped it, more out of habit than concern. The video played without sound. There I was, stepping out of the driver's side. Julian, rounding the hood. Then the kiss, clear as daylight. Every angle covered by the wide-angle lens. My hand fisting in his jacket, his mouth on mine. The camera didn't lie, and it didn't forgive. I stabbed at the screen, looking for the delete option. My thumb hovered over delete event, but then I hesitated. If I deleted it now, would it leave a trace? Would Tesla's cloud backup log it? Dad had the app on his phone. He got notifications every time the car recorded something. I'd seen him check them obsessively after some kid keyed his neighbor's Porsche in the Newport Beach parking garage. "Shit," I whispered. I hit save to USB instead, telling myself I'd deal with it later. I'd format the drive. I'd tell Dad the system was glitching. My phone rang. Not a text. A call. At 11:47 p.m. Only one person called this late. I answered, keeping my voice steady. "Dad." Silence on the other end. Not the comfortable kind. The loaded kind. "Claire." he said finally. His tone was flat, neutral, which meant he was furious. "We need to talk." I forced a laugh. "It's late. Can't this wait until morning?" I just finished with, "I saw something tonight." He cut in, still no inflection. In the car, my blood went cold. The car? The Tesla. Sentry mode caught an event around 11:15. I reviewed it while your mother was making tea. Every muscle in my body locked. "Dad, it's not what?" He asked quietly. "It's not you kissing your assistant outside a hotel, because I have excellent eyesight, Claire, and the video quality on that system is remarkable." I couldn't speak, couldn't think. The carefully rehearsed excuses. "It was a mistake. It won't happen again. It's private." All turned to ash in my throat. "Do you have any idea," he continued, "what this looks like? A partner at a firm that handles sensitive mergers, compromising herself with a subordinate? Do you understand the liability? The optics? It's my personal life. I managed." My voice sounded thin. "Weak. What I do after hours." "After hours?" He let out a short, humorless bark. "You're a Bennett. There's no after hours. Your name is on the door. Your behavior reflects on this family, on your brother, on your mother's standing at the club. And you're fool enough to do it in front of camera?" It was one kiss. I said, louder now, defensive, "It's not like it's exactly like that." He snapped. The mask slipped. Real anger now. "You think this stays between us? If that footage leaks, if someone hacks the feed, or if young Mr. Reyes decides to get creative, you're finished. And you'll take us down with you." "Julian wouldn't." "Julian?" He said the name like it tasted bad. "You've known him, what, 6 months? And you're vouching for his discretion? Claire, for God's sake, you're 32 years old. Act like it." I gripped the steering wheel hard enough to whiten my knuckles. "So, what do you want me to do? Resign? Fire him? What?" "You will do nothing rash until we discuss this as a family. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Don't be late. Dad." "And Claire?" His voice softened, but not in a way that offered comfort. "If you hang up thinking you can talk your way out of this, save your breath. I've already spoken to Robert Hale." My stomach dropped. Robert Hale was the managing partner at Bennett Strauss. My boss, my mentor, the man who'd handed me my partnership. "You told him?" I whispered. I expressed a concern. "That's all. But Claire, perception is reality in our world. And right now, the perception is very, very bad." He hung up. I sat there, the dead line buzzing in my ear. Outside, a bellman laughed at something a guest said. A car alarm chirped in the distance. Normal sounds. A normal night, except mine was collapsing in real time. I looked at the Tesla screen again. The thumbnail was still there. Me and Julian, frozen mid-kiss. Proof. Evidence. A mistake I couldn't uncalculate. My phone buzzed again. A text this time. From Julian. That was intense. "You okay?" I stared at the words. Then, slowly, I typed back. "My dad saw the video. He knows." 3 dots appeared. Vanished. Appeared again. Finally, his reply came through. "I'm downstairs. Don't move." I didn't. I just sat there, watching the elevator doors across the lot, waiting for him to walk back into view, wondering if I just ruined everything, or if, somehow, this was the first honest thing I'd done in years. Either way, the camera had caught it, and in Los Angeles, what gets recorded rarely stays private for long. The elevator ride down from my suite took 40 seconds. Felt like 40 years. I didn't bother with a robe, just the same dress from last night, heels in my hand. Julian was already in the lobby, pacing near the concierge desk. When he saw me, he killed the call he was on and crossed the marble floor in 3 strides. "Talk to me," he said. No preamble. "My dad saw the video. He called Robert. They're calling it a concern." I kept my voice low. The night auditor was pretending not to listen. He wanted a family meeting at 9. That's in, I checked my watch, 3 hours. Julian's jaw tightened. "Robert Hale? He actually called your boss?" "Express a concern." That's the language he used. Which, in Bennett speak, means he's already drafting the press release in his head. Claire, don't. I held up a hand. Not here. Let's go. We ended up in my car, my actual car, the Audi, parked in the residential garage. I needed to move, so I drove. Didn't matter where. Julian stayed quiet for 2 exits, then finally said it. I should resign. Absolutely not. If I step down before this becomes a thing. It looks like I'm taking accountability. Not you. It makes you look guilty. I shot back. And it makes me look like I push you out to cover my ass. You think HR won't notice the timing? You think Robert won't ask why a 27-year-old creative lead bailed a morning after his boss's father called him? Julian turned toward the window. Your dad hates me. He doesn't even know you. He knows what I am. A variable, a risk, and in his world, risks get eliminated. I white-knuckled the wheel. He wasn't wrong. My father didn't deal in people. He dealt in liabilities. And Julian had just become a big one. By the time I pulled into the Newport Beach driveway, the sun was burning the fog off the Pacific. Mom's Mercedes was already there. David's Tesla, the newer one, was parked in his usual spot by the guest house. Great. The whole tribunal was in session. Dad opened the door before I knocked. He looked like he'd been up for hours. Crisp polo, reading glasses perched on his nose. iPad in hand. No hug. No acknowledgement of Julian waiting in the car. Inside, he said. Mom was in the living room, perched on the edge of the sofa like she was hosting a very tense PDA meeting. David leaned against the wet bar, arms crossed. He gave me a look, half pity, half holy shit. Sit, Dad said. I stayed standing. Where's the video? Dad didn't blink. He tapped the iPad. The screen lit up. There we were, me and Julian, in high definition. The angle was worse than I remembered. It looked intentional, hungry, like I was the one pulling him in. Maybe I was. I've already scrubbed it from the Tesla's local storage. Dad said, backed it up to the family iCloud. 3 copies. Encrypted. You backed it up? I stared at him. Are you serious? Someone has to be rational. Mom cut in. Her voice was smooth. Practiced. Claire, darling, you have to understand this isn't just about you. It's about the firm. The Bennett name. Your brother's standing at the club. Do you have any idea what people would say if this leaked? People? I echoed. Or you? David cleared his throat. Mom's already talked to Marjorie at the club. She said if this gets out, we might have to reevaluate membership. Whatever that means. It means we'd be pariahs. Dad said flatly. In this zip code, reputation is currency. And you just lit yours on fire. It was a kiss. I said, 1 kiss. After hours. Off property. With a subordinate. Dad snapped. Who you have direct influence over. Who you signed the checks for. Do you know what that looks like in an HR investigation? It looks like coercion. It looks like abuse of power. It wasn't. It doesn't matter what it was. Mom said, leaning forward. Perception. Claire, perception is everything. And right now, the perception is that a Bennett partner is sleeping with staff. That's not a headline we survive. I turned to David. You're quiet. He shrugged. I'm trying to figure out why you thought this was a good idea. Julian's smart. Yeah, but he's not exactly low profile. The guy wears designer suits to pitch meetings. He's a walking red flag. He's good at his job. I said, he's a liability. Dad corrected. And one we need to contain. Here's what's going to happen. You'll draft a statement to Robert Hale. I'll approve it, explaining that the relationship was brief, consensual, and has ended, effective immediately. No, Dad's eyes narrowed. Excuse me? I'm not lying, and I'm not throwing him under the bus to save face. Mom's smile was thin. Sweetheart, you don't have a choice. If you don't control the narrative, Robert will, and trust me, he'll err on the side of protecting the firm's image, not yours. Let him. I said, I'll tell the truth, that it happened, that it was mutual, that it's nobody's business, but ours. Dad stood, slowly, deliberately. You'll do no such thing. If you refuse to cooperate, I'll forward the video to the board myself. along with my recommendation that you step down pending an internal review. The room went still. Even David looked shocked. You'd ruin me, I said quietly. I'd be saving this family from you ruining us. Dad shot back. You think you're untouchable because you made partner at 30? That firm exists because of my connections, my reputation. I built that door you walk through. I can nail it shut. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. God, you sound just like Robert. Everything's a transaction, even your own daughter. Don't turn this into some sob story about feeling unloved, Mom said, her voice sharp now. You've had every advantage. Private school, Stanford, a corner office before you were 30. And this is how you repay us? By humiliating us on camera? I didn't do it for you. I said, I did it because I'm tired of performing. Tired of being the perfect Bennett daughter who never makes waves. Maybe I wanted one thing that wasn't pre-approved by the family council. Dad stepped closer. You want to talk about performance? Fine. Let's talk about Julian. Do you even know his background? His father skipped bail in Queens when he was 12. His mother cleaned offices in Midtown until she OD'd. He's a scholarship kid with a chip on his shoulder and a taste for expensive things. You think he's with you because of your sparkling personality? I felt the hit land. Low, personal, cruel, exactly how my father fought. That's enough, David said suddenly. He pushed off the bar. Dad, come on, that's not fair. Fair? Dad turned on him. Fair is Claire not dragging this family through the mud. Fair is her showing some goddamn loyalty. I am loyal, I said, to myself. For once. Mom stood, smoothing her skirt. This conversation is over. Claire, you have until Monday to submit your statement to Robert. If you don't, your father follows through. And Julian? He's to resign by close of business Friday. No exceptions. And if he doesn't, I asked, then we make sure every firm in LA knows exactly who he is. Dad said, a gold-digging opportunist who sleeps his way into partnerships. He'll never work in this town again. I stared at them. My parents, my brother, the people who were supposed to have my back. All I saw were calculators, spreadsheets, risk assessments. You know what the worst part is? I said, I almost believed you cared. About me, not the brand. Me. I turned and walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't stop when Mom called my name. Didn't flinch when Dad said I'd regret this. Julian was still in the car, scrolling his phone. He looked up as I yanked the door open. Well? He asked. I slid behind the wheel and stared at the dashboard. They want you gone by Friday, or they destroy you. Julian didn't react, just nodded like he'd already guessed. And you? I have until Monday to lie to Robert, or they send the video to the board. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I'm not resigning. Julian, no, if I quit now, it confirms everything they're saying, that I'm a leech, a mistake. I'm not. He turned to me, eyes hard, but you have to decide whose side you're on. Claire, mine or theirs. I looked at him, really looked, at the guy who kissed me like I was more than a last name, at the guy my father had already written off as trash. I'm not choosing. I said, we're not giving them the satisfaction. Julian's mouth curved, not a smile. Exactly. Something sharper. Then we're at war. My phone buzzed. A text from David. Dad's serious about the video. But Mom's already talking to a crisis PR firm. They're going to leak it themselves if you don't play ball. Watch your back. I showed Julian the screen. He read it, then leaned back against the headrest and laughed. Bitter. Hollow. Of course they are, he said. Burn the house down to save the furniture. I started the car, pulled out the driveway without looking back. Behind us, the Bennett house stood pristine and silent, a monument to image, to control, to everything I just walked away from. Or maybe, I thought, as we hit the Pacific Coast Highway, everything that had just walked away from me. Where to? Julian asked. I gripped the wheel. Somewhere they can't record us. But we both knew that was a lie. In L.A., someone was always watching. And this time, the camera wasn't even hidden. It was right there in my father's iPad, waiting, Monday started with calendar notification I've been dreading all weekend. 8:30 a.m. RH Conference Room B. No subject line. No agenda. Just initials that might as well have read review hearing. I rode the elevator up to the 34th floor with 3 other partners. Nobody spoke. They never did on Mondays. But today the silence felt loaded, like they already knew. Robert Hale was already in the conference room, reviewing a printed email. He didn't look up when I walked in, didn't offer coffee, just gestured to the chair opposite him, closed the door. Claire, I did. Saturday. Folded my hands on the table to hide the tremor in my left ring finger, a nervous tic I hadn't had since my first deposition. Richard Bennett called me Friday afternoon. Robert said, still not looking at me. He expressed a concern regarding your judgment and a potential conflict of interest involving a junior staff member, Julian Reyes. I said, flat, professional, the way we'd practiced in the car Saturday night. Yes, finally, he met my eyes. Robert's gaze was the kind that could flatten a hostile witness. He didn't elaborate, didn't send the video, though he implied its existence. He said it was a family matter, but one that can impact the firm's reputation if mishandled. It's being handled. I said, is it? He leaned back, because I've already had 2 senior VPs from Thompson asking if the rumors about you and Reyes are true. They're spooked. Claire, they pay us $2 million a year to be bulletproof. And right now you're looking like a liability. The relationship, if we're defining it, is personal, consensual, outside office hours. It has no bearing on my work product or the Thompson account. Bullshit. The word landed hard. Robert didn't curse often. You think Thompson cares about consent? They care about headlines. Bennett Strauss partner implicated in HR scandal. That's what they see. And if your father, a man I respect, by the way, feels the need to call me about your judgment, then I have a problem. I inhaled slowly. What's your ask? Robert? I want Julian Reyes reassigned. Effective immediately. He's a talented kid, but he's a distraction. I'll move him to the San Francisco office. You'll keep your head down. Finish the Thompson merger. And we'll issue a joint statement saying the firm takes all conduct seriously, but has full confidence in your leadership. And if I say no, Robert's expression didn't change. Then I have to consider whether you're fit to remain a partner here. Not because of who you kissed, but because you're unwilling to mitigate risk when it's handed to you on a silver platter. I stood. I'm not signing off on exiling Julian to San Francisco to save face. That's not damage control. That's a cover-up. Sit down. Claire, his voice was quiet. Dangerous. You're not in a position to negotiate. Your father made that clear. He's already consulted with Marissa Vane at Fletcher Lowe about options if the firm doesn't act. You know what that means. I did. Marissa Vane was the most vicious defamation and crisis management attorney in Los Angeles. If Dad had her on speed dial, he was already drafting a narrative that ended with me as the villain. I'll talk to Julian. I said finally, but I'm not promising exile. You have until Wednesday. Robert picked up his pen. Dismiss me. And Claire, don't make me choose between you and your father. I'll pick the one who doesn't make me look incompetent. I walked out without another word. The glass doors hissed shut behind me. My assistant, Lena, looked up from her desk, eyes wide. She'd heard. Of course she had. Office gossip moved faster than email. Mr. Reyes is waiting in your office. She whispered. Julian was leaning against my desk, scrolling his phone. He looked up as I entered, and whatever he saw in my face made him straighten. That bad? He asked. Worse. I closed the door. Robert wants you transferred to San Francisco. Effective immediately. Says it's the only way to mitigate risk. Julian laughed. Short. Ugly. Of course he does. Ship the brown kid off to the satellite office, so the nice white partners don't have to deal with the optics. Classic. It's not about race. Bullshit it isn't. He stepped closer. Your dad's already talking to crisis PR firms. I got a call from a recruiter in SF this morning. Hey, heard you might be looking for a change. That's not a coincidence. Claire, I sank into my chair. My father's playing chess. He's got moves I haven't even seen yet. Robert's scared of him. Everyone is. Then let them be scared of me too. Julian's voice was low. Hard. I'm not resigning. I'm not transferring. And I'm sure as hell not letting your dad frame this as some predatory power trip. I'll go to HR myself. Tell them the truth. That you didn't coerce me. That we're equals. That this is nobody's business, but ours. You do that, and you'll be fired by noon. I said, and blacklisted by dinner time. My mother's already talking to Marissa Vane. They'll paint you as unstable, ambitious, a gold digger from a broken home, who seduced the boss's daughter to climb the ladder. Julian's jaw tightened. You think I don't know that? You think I haven't heard worse from guys like your dad my whole life? But I'm done being a guy who nods and smiles while people rewrite my story. Then what do you suggest? I snapped, because right now, the only story anyone's hearing is the one my father's selling. And it ends with me resigning and you flipping burgers in Oakland. He didn't flinch. Maybe it's time we told our own story. On our terms. And how do you propose we do that? A press release? Bennett Strauss partner confirmed consensual relationship with assistant? That'll go over great with Thompson. No. Julian pulled out his phone. Opened Instagram. His account was private, but he had a few thousand followers, mostly industry people. Some press. I post a photo. Of us. Not kissing. Not anything compromising. Just us. At a cafe. Smiling. Caption it something vague. Good company. Good coffee. Let people see we're not hiding. That we're not ashamed. I stared at him. You're serious. Deadly. He met my eyes. Your dad wants to control the narrative? Fine. But he doesn't own it. Not unless we let him. I thought about Robert's ultimatum. About my mother's cold smile. About David's text. Watch your back. If you do this, I said slowly, there's no going back. HR will investigate. Clients will panic. My parents will escalate. They're already escalating. Julian pointed out, at least this way. We're not just sitting here waiting for the axe. I looked at the photo on his screen. It was from Saturday, us at a diner in Silver Lake, laughing over terrible pancakes. I looked happy, uncalculated, nothing like the Bennett daughter everyone expected. Okay, I said, but we do it together. No solo acts. And we draft a statement for Robert first. Something that doesn't make us look like idiots. Julian grinned. Not the sharp one. A real one. Deal. By Tuesday afternoon, the post was live. It didn't blow up, not yet, but it got noticed. Likes from a few industry blogs. A comment from a VP at a rival firm. About time someone at Bennett Strauss showed some personality. Subtle, but it was a crack in the armor. Wednesday morning, Robert summoned me again. This time, he didn't bother with pleasantries. I saw the Instagram post. He said, care to explain? Julian and I are in a relationship. I said, consensual, transparent. We're not hiding it, but we're also not making it a spectacle. The post was a personal choice, not a firm statement. It's a spectacle now. Robert said, your mother called me last night. She's hired Marissa Vane. They're preparing a statement to the Los Angeles Business Journal about internal misconduct and failure to uphold fiduciary standards. She's going to throw you under the bus. Claire, publicly. I felt the blood drain from my face. She wouldn't. She would, and she will, because in her world, reputational damage is worse than losing a daughter. And your father? He's backing her play. They'd rather you be the cautionary tale than admit their own kid made a mistake. I thought about the video, the iCloud backups, the encrypted copies Dad had mentioned. They weren't just threats. They were ammunition. What do? I asked. The words tasted like surrender. You get ahead of it. Robert said, draft a resignation letter. Effective end of quarter. That gives us time to transition Thompson and save face with the board. And you tell Julian to delete that post. Now, I stood. No. Robert blinked. Excuse me? I said no. I'm not resigning. And Julian's not deleting anything. If my mother wants to leak a story, let her. But I'll be telling my side first. To the Journal. to Thompson, to whoever will listen. And I'll start by saying that Bennett Strauss, under your leadership, chose to protect a legacy donor over the truth. Robert's face went purple. You're bluffing. Am I? I pulled out my phone, opened the Notes app. I've already drafted it. Want to hear it? Recent reports regarding my personal life have been exaggerated by parties with a vested interest in maintaining a false image of perfection. I will not be a scapegoat for a firm that prioritizes optics over integrity. How's that for a lead? He stood so fast his chair scraped the floor. You're finished here. Claire, do you hear me? Finished. Maybe, I said, but I'm not going down quietly. And I'm not going down alone. I walked out, past Lena's stunned face, past the glass-walled offices of partners who suddenly found their monitors fascinating, into the elevator, down to the garage. Julian was waiting by the Audi. He took one look at me and knew. They pushed? He asked. Harder than I thought. I leaned against the car. My mom's going to press. Robert wants me to resign. And I think I'm going to let them fire me. Julian didn't argue, just pulled me into a hug, right there in the concrete chill of the parking garage. Then we burned the whole thing down. My phone buzzed. A text from David. Mom's meeting with Marissa at 4. She's drafting a cease and desist for Julian, and a personal statement about your mental health struggles. Dad says it's the only way to explain the lapse in judgment. I showed Julian. He read it, then laughed bitter. Broken. Mental health struggles. Of course. Much easier than admitting their daughter has a spine. I looked at the screen, at the words lapse in judgment, at the realization that my own parents were willing to label me unstable rather than accept that I'd made a choice they didn't approve of. Okay, I said. We don't wait for them. We call the journal ourselves. Today, Julian kissed my forehead. I'm with you. As we drove out of the garage, I caught a glimpse of myself in the rear-view mirror. Not Claire Bennett. Partner. Not the perfect daughter. Just a woman who'd finally stopped apologizing for wanting something real, even if it destroyed everything. Especially then. Tuesday started with a calendar invite I hadn't sent. Subject line, all hands update, HR compliance. Sent at 6:12 a.m. by Mara Jennings, VP of Human Resources. Guests, every partner, associate, and senior staffer in the LA office, including Julian. I called him before I even got out of bed. You see this? I asked, just opened it. Julian said. His voice was too calm. Mara's got a draft attached. Want to guess what it says? I pulled the laptop onto my chest. The attachment loaded slowly. Each pixel a fresh insult. It has come to firm's attention that certain interpersonal relationships may exist which fall outside the scope of our conflict of interest policy. While the firm does not police personal conduct, we remind all employees of their obligation to maintain professional boundaries, particularly where reporting structures are involved. Accordingly, effective immediately, Julian Reyes will be placed on administrative leave pending a formal review. Administrative leave. I repeated. That's house arrest with a paycheck. It's a prelude to termination. Julian said. They're softening the blow for the board, making it look like due process instead of a hit job. I swung my legs over the side of the bed. I'll call Robert. Shut this down. Don't. Julian's tone sharpened. If you call him now, you're playing defense. You're admitting they have the right to decide this. They don't. So what? We just let them suspend you? Let Mara draft a memo that basically calls you a predator? No. A pause. Then, quieter. I'm sending my own email. I froze. Julian, I've got it drafted. Clean. Factual. No drama. Just the truth. I'm CCing Mara, Robert, legal, and the partners. If they want to make this public inside the firm, fine. But I'm not letting them write the ending. Wait until I get to the office. I said, we'll do it together. Claire, he cut me off. When's the last time you did something that wasn't calculated? That wasn't pre-approved by a committee of people who'll never have to live with the consequences? This is mine. My name. My choice. Before I could answer, the line went dead. I dressed in 10 minutes and broke 3 traffic laws getting to Century City. By the time I hit the 34th floor, the office felt wrong. Too quiet. Lena wasn't at her desk. The usually open blinds on the partner offices were drawn. Then I heard it, the unmistakable ping of an incoming company-wide email. Julian's email. I pulled it up on my phone, standing in the middle of the bullpen, while associates pretended not to stare. To all staff. Bennett Strauss, Los Angeles. CC, Robert Hale. Mara Jennings. Legal Department. Senior Partners. I'm writing to address recent speculation regarding my relationship with Claire Bennett. Yes, we are involved. It is entirely consensual, begun after hours, and has never interfered with my professional obligations or judgment. I have not been, nor will I ever be, coerced or influenced in my role as a creative strategist. Any assertion otherwise is false and damaging. I understand the firm's need to review compliance with internal policies. However, I will not allow myself to be characterized as a liability, nor will I accept a suspension that implies wrongdoing where none exists. I remain committed to my work, my team, and the standards of this firm, but I will not apologize for a relationship that harms no one and violates no law. Respectfully, Julian Reyes. The silence after was deafening. Then, chaos, phones ringing, Slack exploding. Someone down the hall laughed, nervous, disbelieving. I stalked to Julian's office. Empty, desk cleared, computer gone. Lena finally appeared. Pale, he sent it 10 minutes ago. Robert's in a closed-door meeting with legal. Mara's been screaming into her headset for the last 5 minutes. Where is he? Conference room C. Mara's in there with him now. I headed for the conference room, but before I got there, Robert emerged. His face was a shade I'd never seen, not angry, not scared, something colder, calculating. My office, he said, not a request. I followed. He closed the door, leaned against his desk, and looked at me like I was a client who just confessed a fraud. You knew he was going to send that, he said. I knew he was considering it. Considering. Robert laughed. A dry, humorless sound. He didn't consider. Claire, he detonated a bomb. Do you have any idea what this does to Thompson? To the merger? To our standing with the state bar? We're now officially on record as having a public relations incident involving a partner and a subordinate. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. It's the truth, I said, and it's not a violation policy if we disclose it properly. Disclose it properly? He straightened. There is no proper disclosure for this. Your father called me this morning, before the email. He's already spoken to Marissa Vane. They're preparing a statement to the Business Journal alleging, and I quote, a pattern of erratic behavior and poor judgment that calls into question Ms. Bennett's fitness to serve as a partner. They're going to say you're unstable. Claire, and now, thanks to your boyfriend's ego trip, they have a time-stamped exhibit. I felt the floor tilt. They're doing what? They're saving themselves. And they're taking you down to do it. Robert's voice softened, but not kindly. I tried to give you a way out, a quiet transfer, a dignified exit, but you chose pride over pragmatism. And now I have to protect the firm. Meaning? Meaning you're suspended pending an internal investigation, paid leave, effective immediately. And Julian? He's terminated. Today. Mara's drafting the paperwork now. You can't. I can. I am. He walked to the door, opened it. Pack your things. Lena will escort you out. And Claire? Don't contact Julian. Don't post anything. Don't talk to the press. If you do, I'll make sure you never work in this town again. Understood? I didn't move. Couldn't. My entire career, 10 years of 18-hour days, of winning cases I didn't care about, of being the daughter my father wanted, gone the time it took to read an email. Understood. I whispered. Lena walked me to my office. I threw my laptop and a few files into a box. No one looked at me. No one said goodbye. As I passed Julian's empty office, I saw Mara through the glass, shredding documents. Efficient. Final. Downstairs. Julian was waiting by the fountain. He looked up as I approached. And for a second, I saw it, the flicker of doubt. Then it was gone. replaced by that sharp-edged resolve. They fired me, he said. I know. I set the box down. Robert suspended me. My parents are leaking a story about my mental health. We're done here. Jules, both of us. He nodded. I figured. That's why I did it. Because if we waited for them to write the ending, it was always going to be this. Better, I burn it down first. Better? I laughed, but it came out strangled. We have nothing now. No jobs. No reputations. My own parents are calling me unstable to the press. We have the truth, Julian said. He stepped closer, lowered his voice. And we have each other. Unless you're ready to crawl back to them, sign the NDA. Apologize. Pretend none of this happened. I looked at him, at the man who'd chosen honesty over safety, who'd traded a career for a principle. And I realized he was right. There was no going back. Not to Bennett Strauss. Not to the version of me who'd spent her life performing for an audience that would never clap. No, I said, no NDA. No apology. Then we fight, Julian said, on our terms. My phone buzzed. A text from David. Mom just sent the press release to the Journal. It's live in an hour. Dad's already called 3 clients to warn them. I'm sorry. Claire, I tried. I showed Julian. He read it, then took my hand. 1 hour. What do we do? I thought about Robert's threat, about Mara shredding files, about the iCloud backups and the encrypted copies and the machine that was my family. Then I thought about the email Julian had sent. Raw. True. Unafraid. We don't wait for them. I said, we call the Journal ourselves. Give them our side. And then we call every contact we have in this city and tell them the truth. All of it. No filters. And if they bury us, then we bury them first. I squeeze his hand, but we do it together as we walked away from a fountain. I didn't look back at the glass tower of Bennett Strauss. I didn't look back at the life I'd lost. I looked ahead at the mess we'd made, at the fight we were about to start, at the terrifying, exhilarating freedom of having nothing left to lose. Behind us, a car alarm went off. Somewhere, a phone rang, and in an hour, the Los Angeles Business Journal would publish a story that would end my career and begin my life. Julian was right. We didn't need their permission to tell our story. We just needed the courage to hit send. The courtroom smelled like lemon cleaner and old paper. I hated it on principle. Too much like every deposition I'd ever won by outweighing some terrified paralegal. This time, I was the one on the hook. Judge Patricia Gomez looked bored. She'd seen 100 cases like this. Rich families suing each other over nothing just to save face. My father sat 2 rows back with Marissa Vane, who was already clicking her pen like she was keeping time for a funeral march. Julian was next to me, wearing a suit that cost more than his first car, but still looked like armor. Ms. Bennett, Judge Gomez said, not looking up from her notes. You're named as a respondent here, but your counsel informs me you wish to address the court directly? I do, Your Honor. I stood. My voice didn't shake. I'd practiced this in the mirror for 3 nights running. I'd like to state for the record that I was not coerced, manipulated, or influenced by Mr. Reyes in any professional capacity. Our relationship is consensual, begun outside office hours, and has no bearing on the allegations of intentional infliction of emotional distress. Marissa Vane rose smoothly. Your Honor, the petitioner's concern is not the relationship itself, but the reckless public disclosure of private matters, which has caused significant reputational harm to the Bennett family and their associated business interests. Reputational harm? I cut in. Or embarrassment that your clients can't control a 32-year-old woman. Ms. Bennett, Judge Gomez warned. With respect, Your Honor, I continued. My parents aren't here because they're hurt. They're here because I refuse to resign from a firm I helped build. Because I wouldn't let them trade my dignity for a cleaner headline. If that's emotional distress, then I suppose I'm guilty. Dad stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. Patricia, she's clearly not well. Sit down. Mr. Bennett, the judge said without looking at him. I've read the filings. I've seen the evidence. A blurry dashcam clip that shows two adults kissing. Last I checked, that's not a tort. It's not even a misdemeanor. She turned to Marissa. Ms. Vane, your clients have failed to demonstrate any actionable harm. The petition for a temporary restraining order is denied. Mr. Reyes is free to associate with whomever he chooses. Marissa opened her mouth, then closed it. Dad's face went the color of old concrete. Julian's hand found mine under the table and squeezed once. Outside, the courthouse steps were crawling with reporters. I recognized a few from the Business Journal, plus a camera crew from KTLA. Dad brushed past me without a word, Mom trailing behind, already on her phone. Marissa paused long enough to murmur, "This isn't over." "Claire, it is today," Julian said, loud enough for the cameras. I didn't stop walking until we hit the sidewalk. Julian lit a cigarette, first one I'd seen him smoke since New York, and offered it to me. I shook my head. "You okay?" he asked. "I just got legally declared not a victim by the County of Los Angeles. Feels weirdly empowering." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Your dad looked like he wanted to murder me. He'll get over it. Or he won't. Either way, I'm done caring." I pulled out my phone. 3 missed calls from Robert Hale, 2 from David, 1 from a number I didn't recognize, probably a recruiter or a journalist. I blocked them all. "Come on, I've got one more thing to do." We drove to the Bennett Strauss offices. Security didn't stop me. They still knew my face, even with the badge gone. I took the elevator straight to Robert's office. He was on a call, but he hung up the second he saw me. "You've got some nerve," he said. "I'm here to tender my resignation." I said, "Effective immediately." I've already drafted the letter. Clean break. No severance. No differences. Just gone. Robert leaned back, studying me. "You realize this ends your career in L.A., right? No firm worth a damn will touch you after the stunt you and Reyes pulled." "I'm counting on it." I slid the envelope across his desk. "I'm opening my own shop. PR strategy. Crisis management. The stuff I'm apparently very good at, according to my last performance review. Only difference is, I won't have to pretend I'm someone I'm not. And Julian? He's my partner. In every sense." I turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and tell Thompson I said goodbye. They'll survive without me. Probably better." Actually, out on the street, Julian was waiting by the car. "That's it?" "That's it." I climbed in. No golden parachute. No non-compete. Just me. He started the engine. "Where to?" "Portland." I said, "Cheap office space. No family. No Tesla dash cams watching our every move." "Portland." He repeated. "You sure?" "I'm sure about you. The rest? We'll figure it out." I pulled out my phone and opened my messages. David had texted again. "Dad's cutting you off. Mom's already changed the locks. I'm sorry. I can't change them. But I'm not like them." I typed back, "Thanks. David, take care of yourself. And tell Mom the next time she talks about my mental health. I'll sue her for libel. Love you." Then I blocked the number. We hit the 5 north just as the sun started to dip. Somewhere around Stockton, Julian reached over and turned off the radio. "You ever wonder what happens next?" he asked. "All the time." I leaned my head against the window, but for the first time. "I don't care if it's messy. We'll build something real. No legacy. No expectations. Just us." He was quiet for a mile. Then, "Your dad's gonna hate that most of all." "Good." I smiled. "Let him." By the time we crossed into Oregon, the LA skyline was a distant smear in the rear view. My phone buzzed one last time. A news alert from the Journal. "Bennett family feud ends in courtroom defeat. Daughter resigns from top firm." I deleted it without reading. Julian glanced over. "Regrets?" "None." I meant it. The camera caught the kiss. It caught the aftermath. The emails. The courtroom. The walk away. But it didn't catch the choice. It didn't catch the moment I decided that my life belonged to me. Not to a name on a door. Not to a father's spreadsheet. Not even the version of myself I'd spent decades perfecting. That part, that was mine. And no one, not Richard Bennett, not Robert Hale, not a single lens in the city, could ever record that.